What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new episode of Out of the Park Baseball 26, where we are rebuilding the Pittsburgh Pirates together. And you can see some significant time has passed since last episode. I simulated through all of spring training off camera just to sort of give us a clean starting point here in this episode. We are on the eve of opening day 2030. Of course, we don't play for, maybe 10 more days on the game calendar here, but I thought this was a great point to pick up because we have a lot of news to recap since we last left off. We sort of didn't really make any other roster moves in that time, but over the course of spring training, there were a couple of team injuries, and we, of course, need to review our development lab results as well. So I figured we could start the episode with all of that. We'll kind of take a look at spring training stats as well, and I'll give you an idea of the roster we're going to bring into the early season. And then beyond that, the plan for today is to start actually playing the games and moving forward into 2030 to see what this team has, see if we can make it back to the World Series again this year and hopefully get revenge on whoever's on the other side and take the trophy home to Pittsburgh. So we're going to move through all of March. We have some lingering games here at the end of the month against Atlanta. We're going to move through all of April and all of May as well. So we're really going to get quite a bit done this episode, and I'm excited to get this season underway. But the first thing I want to touch on is, every year when we're playing spring training, we have our fingers crossed for no detrimental injuries to the team. And I can't say that we really made it through this spring very cleanly. There were several sort of large injuries that we had to deal with, and nothing super major. The biggest one is probably Connor Griffin suffered a high ankle sprain very early in spring, and he really wasn't able to play in many games at all. He just sort of had, I don't know what this sample ends up being, but I want to say just 6 or 7 total games of spring training. So he didn't really get much work at all for us, but he is due back before opening day. It says 1 week left, and right now we are here on the 18th, so 1 week from now would give him a little bit of a window before opening day, so I think he can come back and break camp with us and be ready for opening day. The other major injuries are 2 more minor league guys. Unfortunately, Nate Snead tore his rotator cuff again and will be out a full 9 months. We have 2 pretty substantial pitching injuries to both Nate Snead and Cole Clicker. Really sad break for Nate Snead because I set him to a reliever, and you kind of look at this profile and you could convince yourself that he could contribute as a reliever, and I was thinking maybe this is finally his year where he can debut and sort of get some work with us, but it really did not end up happening for him. Of course, the torn rotator cuff was sort of the nail in the coffin, but he also suffered several minor injuries in typical Nate Snead fragile fashion. So he's just a total, kind of glass cannon of a guy, and he's really sort of regressed. So he's obviously kind of on the 60-day now, 26. I don't know that he can ever make it back with all of these injuries. We're not going to write him off. He still has option years remaining, but just pretty brutal news for him. Cole Klecker as well, showed really encouraging signs last season in a very limited sample. He only got 7 games with us, but had a sub-1 ERA, sub-1 whip, and he actually made the playoff roster for us down the stretch, and I was sort of thinking he could potentially factor as our long reliever this season, but partially torn UCL will put him out for 10 months. There's really no good way to color it. He is just on the shelf for the whole year, and it's really disappointing because he was one of our very, very early draft picks in the series out of TCU in 2025, and I had somewhat high hopes for him. So we're down 2 pitchers on our 40-man who maybe we had hope to factor for us. Elian Pena also suffered a bone bruise in his wrist, which is a little, tough. It's a multi-week injury, but he should be back relatively soon. I don't think he was ever going to make the major league team out of camp. I certainly still like him, and he's a very good defender, but I'm sort of viewing him as like the transition piece. Once Nick Gonzalez moves on, we can bring up Elian Pena, and he's still just 22. Last season at AAA, he performed really well, but I kind of want him to get a little bit more seasoning down there, learn to hit left-handed pitching a little bit more effectively, and I don't think this injury is going to be a major setback for him. It's just 2 weeks, so he is going to go back down to AAA once he's fully healthy. But those are the major injuries. We should get Connor Griffin back, like I mentioned, and we also have some pitchers down at AA who are still recovering from injuries that have been or they're like holdover injuries from last season. So we didn't make it through totally clean this year. One of our more brutal spring trainings from an injury perspective. But let's go and let me recap the DevLab results with you next. So we'll pick back up here, kind of looking back at mid-February. We got surprisingly good results across the board on all of our programs. This is one of the better years for the program, since we've started the sim, I should say. We had a lot of outstanding results and no detrimental results either. So the biggest, most impactful change, I think, is Wyatt Sanford was outstanding in his conditioning program. And it even made national news that he is just in great shape. So his injury proneness improves. He was previously somewhat fragile, and now he is normal, bordering on fragile. So it's maybe not the best result. It's definitely good, but I think should he suffer another injury, it's likely he just gets bumped right back down to somewhat fragile. I think he's kind of borderline, but his potential power rating also improved by a couple of points there. So when we look at him now, he's really, really tremendous. His most recent scouting report too kind of reflected that power increase. It's now 50, and his eye also increased to 60. So his overall rating is now 75 out of 80, and we're hoping for a really big season. He obviously had 4.5 WAR for us last season, and he's going to hit leadoff for us. He's good against both sides of the plate, he's good from both sides of the plate. And this is going to be his last year on Major League Minimum. He's going to start entering his ARB years next. So we'll see how high that price tag ends up getting for him. But super happy to get his injury proneness back to kind of even there. Edward Lantigua was not as successful. No noticeable changes from his strength and conditioning program. He is still fragile. And he's, I think, maybe lost a tick of his power as well. Dropping from a 60 to a 55 and losing a little bit of gap power as well, but his contact improved, so it's sort of like a give and take with him. Obviously still really like him. Wish that he could have achieved that, but he's still on the Major League Minimum, and we're definitely counting on him to play for us this season. Jared Jones, another outstanding result here. Just marginal improvements to his movement, but you like that the current and the potential both get a little boost there. It doesn't really impact his ratings on paper for us, from our scout perspective. We still sort of view him as the same guy, but I'm optimistic that it'll prevent any sort of regression throughout the season. At least that's what we're hoping. And we obviously want to maintain his ratings because he's still locked up on guaranteed money for us for the next couple of seasons. So this year and the next 2 years. So it's kind of a fragile contract at this point. Should the movement regress much more, it's likely not a good deal for us. But I'm hopeful he can rediscover some of his old skill that he had previously in prior years of the sim. This next one is probably the most exciting. Tony Granger, our first-round pick last season, had an outstanding control program. And look at this. It's rare to see the attribute jump so much, but his potential control rating improved by 10. His current control rating improved by 5. And now when we look at him on paper, he looks awesome. He looks so good, you guys. Number 26 prospect in baseball, although that should update once we advance to opening day. They'll put out a new list, and it's possible he climbs higher. But we're going to, I think, start him out at high A again. He only got 9 games there last season, and he's obviously very well equipped for it, 60 grade there, but there's still some like elements to work on, and his pitches aren't fully along. He kind of still can struggle slightly against left-handed batters, so I think it makes sense to keep him at this level for a little bit longer. And he's still pretty young, he's 22, but really happy to see that control jump up to 60 now. I think it's between 60 and 65. It was previously a 55, so only a 5-point jump here on this screen, but I think it's likely in between because obviously it says 10-point jump here. No improvement for Ben Small on his contact program, a little disappointing. Finn McElroy also achieves an outstanding result, where his current movement improves by 5 and his potential movement also improves. So we had viewed him as a home run risk last season, like a fly ball pitcher, and now all of that is like pretty league average. So you combine the improvements in movement with his like still plus control to unlock, and the pitch kind of grades, like they can grow as well. He still has the weird screwball. I think this is all around like a really successful result for him. And he's a little more effective against both sides now with the movement profile. And I think we're looking for a big season out of him. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I think his spring numbers were pretty encouraging. So it should be fun to see what he can do for us this year. No improvement for Jason Solis. Jason Solis is our second round pick from 2 years ago, 2028. And we had tried to improve his control, and it actually ended up regressing in his most recent scouting report. He's kind of lost the control by 5 points. He's lost some velocity potential, and he's kind of falling off a little bit. He's falling down to just a 45. At this point, he's 23. We're pushing him up to AA. I don't know that he's ever going to achieve his full potential. He's kind of, borderline. He's like a borderline reliever at this point. I think maybe the ship has sailed on like penciling him in as a starter for us down the road. Kind of disappointing result there. And then the final two programs here, Javi Ruiz gets an outstanding bat speed result. So our 80 grade, now 18-year-old catcher increases his current power rating by 5, and his potential power rating improves marginally as well. He, of course, already had near 80 grade power. It's sort of come back down a bit now that we have more clarity on him as a player. So, still obviously very strong. And he's, you can see the improvements in the power, and he also improved his eye as well. So it'll be his first year in the DSL now, newly turned 18-year-old. So really excited to see what he can do for us. And of course, no improvements for Danny Jimenez. I think we put Danny in here every season, and he has, I don't think, ever had a successful result in any program we've had him in. So he is still stuck in the DSL. He's not ready to play at A-ball yet at just 25 grades. So the former number one prospect in baseball, Nico Jimenez, is kind of looking like a borderline bust for us unless he can really kind of get his act together this season. I don't know that we're able to like plan around him much longer. And then we still have some other programs out right now. We don't have any clarity on them until we finish today, where they will then wrap up prior to opening day. So I'll update you guys once we know more about that. But now let's dive into the roster we're bringing into the season. And we'll dive into the lineups first. Here you can see how we sort of have things structured, and there's really no major surprises here. There is like a little bit of work to be done once Connor Griffin presumably returns in a week. We have Gavin Turley here as just sort of a placeholder at the moment. Not that he had a really great spring or anything. We have the table filtered for spring training stats, but this is pretty much the plan we had like coming into the offseason of how we're going to roll things out. So the same catchers, the same infield, swap Griffin in for Turley. The real only surprise is that we were sort of between Johnny Severino and Aiden Miller as our kind of backup corner infielder, and I ended up choosing Johnny Severino. Not that they both sort of had middling springs, like, 521 OPS is nothing to write home about, but Aiden Miller kind of produced at the same level, and ultimately I just chose Johnny because he brings a little more balance to both sides of the dish. If we think of both he and Aiden Miller are plus hitters against left-handed pitching, Aiden Miller is really not effective against right-handed pitching, where Severino is sort of borderline. Like, I think he can get by with these ratings. So that was sort of the, differentiator there, and he already has the full first base versatility unlocked. So while he's maybe not as capable at third as Miller would be, I think it's still fine to bring him on board, and I think he can play for us against left-handed pitching with those ratings. So I think we'll look to rotate him in. Aiden Miller also is still sort of learning first base. We tried to train him up there as much as we could in spring training, but he's only able to make 35 progress out of 70 grade there. So felt like it was a little bit risky, and as you can see, his ratings too, like his ratings against right-handed pitching are a little more suspect. So he doesn't make the team. We're going to go with Severino first. Of course, if we can change that later based on production if we want. But with Connor Griffin out, Edward Lantigua had to play a bunch of center field. You can see just like the top hitters from spring. Camden Koziel had a tremendous spring. I really, really like him. 348 average, 1,000 OPS, hit 4 homers somehow, despite his 45 grade power. Really just love his BABIP and gap power combo, and I think he's going to bring really good defense for us at first base. So love that from him. Yordani also had a really big spring. Esther Suero, who will be our 4th outfielder. I don't think he's going to start, obviously, but love that he was productive for us, and I think he's a very, very good 4th outfielder to have. Guys who sort of disappointed, Carson Benj. He was dealing with like a minor strained elbow injury, I want to say, or just a sore elbow, and maybe that sort of derailed his spring, but he didn't really have the best numbers down there, and Tamar Johnson as well didn't really have the best numbers. Something I am looking to change, I guess I just thought of this, but we're trying to flip Termar and Nick Gonzalez. Nick Gonzalez never really knew how to play third base, and he's always been a liability defensively for us up the middle. And I kind of want to swap him to third and move Termar back to second, more of his like natural defensive position. I think it will benefit us in the long run, like as a team, to have stronger defense up the middle. And I think we can kind of hide Gonzalez on the corner where third base is a little less important than, having a solid second baseman defensively. So that's a change we're going to look to make. He's not fully trained at third base, but he's close. So I think it will be fine to run like that moving forward. And then once Connor Griffin comes back, we'll bump Lantigua down, and then Connor Griffin will take that 5-hole spot, and we'll be good to go. From a pitching perspective, not really too much, surprising news here with Klecker going down. It sort of cleared the way for Tyler August to appear as our long reliever, and he had a decent spring. Good ERA, good WHIP. He was walking a fair amount of guys, which is like definitely going to be his issue with the just 40 control, but I like the plus stuff potential he brings. I think he should be pretty regularly available to us, and he can spot start if we need him, so he will make it as a long reliever for us. And then the bullpen is sort of to be expected. There's no one really too notable here. We have Abreu closing. We have Kirkering in a high-volume stopper role with also high leverage. We have Randy and Holton as our setup men, and then Brash and Santucci as middle relief, along with JoJo, who is specialist and also doubling as middle relief as well. And we may even toggle Tyler August to be middle relief as well, just to kind of have options there. 2 righties, 2 lefties, I think would be good. But Matt Brash actually had a bounce-back spring. Only 11-game sample, but sub-1 ERA, sub-1 WHIP, looked really strong. Hopefully we get a bounce-back year out of him. Some guys who are not so good. Randy was kind of just league average. JoJo, league average. And Jared Jones had a little bit of a home run issue, which you don't love to see, considering we just tried to train that movement. You have to wonder how effective that ends up being for us. A little bit of concern for me for Randy. In his most recent scouting report, he lost a bit of movement, and he lost a tick of velocity as well, dating back to last November. So I don't know that he's going to repeat for us as I believe he was like close to a 3-WAR player for us last season. So he's going to double as like backup closer and just be set up. I'm sort of like keep giving him the side eye at the moment. I don't know if he's going to be quite as good as he used to be. And we're going to give Brian Abreu first shot at closer. Like, I think he had a pretty good spring. Yeah, 13 games. Didn't allow a run. Really good whip. FIP is also looking pretty nice. No homers, not walking many guys. So hopefully he has turned a corner as well. The one guy who missed out on the pitching staff, like the final cut, was this guy, Carlos Mateo, who we're going to force start as a closer at AAA. And he throws 100 plus. He's got good stamina. He had good spring training numbers, but he was just kind of the last guy that just couldn't quite make it. I think there's room to work on his pitches down here a little bit more if we go to International League. There's more movement he can tap into down here as well. So I think it will benefit him long term just to sit here a little bit longer. He only had 11 games there last season too. So hopefully he can just kind of dominate down there. And then should anyone go down for us, he would be the first name we would call up and, potentially look to get him into like a setup role or a high leverage role. So that's going to be the plan. I'm going to keep moving forward here toward our opening day against Atlanta, and then I will rejoin you for opening day, and I think we'll play it together, and then we'll start moving through the rest of the calendar and get this season underway. All right, you guys, I think we're ready to get moving here. The start of the 2030 season. Today we play against Atlanta and ace pitcher Jacob deGrom, but I want to recap first the DevLab results we got on our kind of secondary programs. Obviously, our owner is reminding us that our objective should be to win the World Series this year, so thanks, Bob. I really appreciate that reminder. We had a couple of good results here, though, in our programs. Orion Kirkering improves his ability to hold runners by 5, which is primarily what I wanted out of him. He's still just a 45 there, so below average, but marginal improvement for sure for our new stopper. No improvement for Tyler August. We tried similar programs with him and Carlos Mateo, but they do not improve. Carson Benj gets an outstanding rating for his defense, improving his range by 5. He's going to be our full-time right fielder this season, and he's a 70 grade there with good error, pretty good range, great arm. I think he should be a plus defender for us this season. And we also get a successful rating for Javi Ruiz. Not an outstanding rating, but definitely take successful. His catcher ability improves by 5, his framing improves by 5, and his arm improves marginally. His arm is definitely the weakest attribute of his toolkit, but definitely love the blocking and the framing improving. Hopefully we can get the arm to come along eventually, but I think he's poised to have a really good season in the DSL. That's 2 successful programs for him in a single offseason, which is awesome. Ben Small, our star outfielder, improves his range by 5 and his arm and error rating marginally. I don't know that he's ever a true center fielder for us, but he is coming along very, very quickly. Now kind of just seen as a 65 grade kind of guy. The arm is not necessarily great, but the range at 65 is borderline capable to stick in center. His most recent scouting reports kind of have his I rating dropping down to 55 and his power kind of regressing a little bit down to, it's still a 70 grade tool, but not quite as tremendous as maybe we saw him early in his career. But obviously he's still ranked very highly, the number 5 prospect in baseball, still only 20 years old. We received new prospect rankings, so we'll touch on that in just a sec. The last couple of programs here, we get a successful result for Russ Meshke, our second-round pick in this most recent draft, 2029, improving his infield arm and range and error all by 5, so a really, really good result for him. But our scout has sort of he's fallen off in the eyes of our scout, which is really unfortunate. We took him 71st overall. Love that the infield range is coming along. Maybe it allows him to stick at shortstop long term. He's still just 18 years old. But you can see his scouting report dropped him from a 65 down to a 45. So a 20-point drop is really, really brutal. We think his gap rating dropped by a ton. His eye rating dropped by a ton. His contact dropped by 10. So not the best scouting return on him. But a successful fielding program nonetheless. We'll kind of just see what he turns into, and no improvements for Wallace Cannell or Jason Solis again in their programs. But overall, I would say pretty successful. A couple of major league guys getting improvements with Kerkering and Benj. As far as prospects go, we alluded to this earlier, but Ben Small is still a top 10 prospect at number 5 overall, and our system is still really, really healthy. We're second, trailing just the Tigers. So we have Ben Small at 5, Tony Granger at 23rd, Javi Ruiz at 33rd, Danny Jimenez now at 53, and Walt Nahara at 68. So pretty good movement for our guys. I think Javi Ruiz climbed several spots, and Danny Jimenez kind of fell back down a bit. But we also have Angel Rico as a top 100 player. Ryan Malaguti and Jason Solis are now on the outside of the top 100 looking in. We also have Brian Hiles there and Willie Sandoval. And some of our other guys have sort of fallen down a bit. But overall, still really, really good, and we're allocating the same $25 million to player dev this season, so should remain consistent year over year. We increased our scouting budget by $5 million to $15 million, and we still have a good chunk of available money to play around with if we need to make moves throughout the season. So, let's look at the roster. We got Connor Griffin back. It looks like he came back. He's still normal. He's not fragile or anything. I was kind of a little bit fearful of that. But he is going to slide right into center field in the 5 spot. Lantigua gets bumped down. We're going to go with pretty much the same order we had last season to start things off. And versus left-handed pitching, we are going to give Johnny Severino first base as opposed to Camden Koziel to just, up our righties in the lineup there and kind of take advantage of the platoon splits there. Yordani will also play second. O'Neal Cruz will be benched. Nick Gonzalez will take DH, and Termar will slide over to third. So, pretty similar to what we were doing last year. We're doing a heavy outfield rotation where Suero will play a lot, and we're kind of rotating guys through the DH spot after they get an off day or as their pseudo off day to try to optimize the availability of everyone here. So everyone's going to play. Even Cruz is going to play the occasional game in right field. So it should be pretty limited, but he's going to get out there often. Our infield is more strict rules where just like Sanford comes out if he's tired. I want him to play as much as possible, and kind of similar for Termar and Gonzalez and Koziel. I want them all out there as much as possible. So these are a little more conservative. But I think we're ready to get started. I don't have any other notes written down here. I don't think we're going to play the whole opening series. I think we'll just do opening day together. And then I will start advancing through these games, and we can kind of see how things unfold. Actually, no. I skipped one note. You may be wondering, with this roster, what would we be projected to do this year according to the algorithms? And I'll show you. So there is a little bit of a wrinkle in this, I think. At the date that these were calculated, we did not have Connor Griffin on our roster. He was still battling injury up until just several days ago. So I don't know that he was necessarily factored into these predictions. As you can see, the top team in the AL is Texas with 95 wins, but the Orioles and Red Sox also projected to win 90 games, with the Guardians taking the Central. If we scroll down to our National League, we're projected to win the division and have the second best record in the league. The Dodgers are projected to be the best team in all of baseball with 97 wins. We are at 91 with a 6-game separation above Cincinnati. Obviously, we're projected to do pretty well. Good on the base pass, decent home runs. Like a pitching staff is very, very solid. Hopefully, all of this pans out. You can see top performers. The only notable bat for us is Wyatt Sanford appears here. And that's sort of why I was like wondering if Connor Griffin, maybe he doesn't appear here because he wasn't factored in. I don't know how the calculations exactly work. But we have several pitchers here. We have Dan Beebe, Hunter Green, and Jared Jones. If if Jared Jones gives us this kind of stat line, I will be thrilled. If that would be a huge bounce back for him to deliver 200 plus strikeouts and a 3.6 ERA. So 3 pitchers here in the top group would be awesome. That's how we're kind of projected to do. But let's get opening day over with here. We're going to simulate it live. Oh, it looks like I'm just now seeing this, but Blake Snell has announced his retirement. It looks like, he's going to go off into the sunset at the end of the season. He was with the Dodgers all this time, but now he's on the Nationals. Snellzilla is calling it quits. Sorry for the distraction. Let's get into opening day here. As I mentioned, we are facing off against Jacob deGrom and the Braves. Let's take a look at Jacob deGrom here. He's wrecked physically, but of course he is a all-time talent. At almost 42 years old, he still looks really, really good. Started 22 games last season for Washington, and now joins the Braves on a 1-year, $25 million deal. So we'll see how we do against them. We'll simulate this, and fingers crossed we get the dub. Dan Beebe cannot pull out the win. It looks like it was an offensive fest. They jump on us for 3. We take the lead, though, in the 6th, and then kind of blow the game late. So in classic fashion, our bullpen sort of blows the game. It looks like, hits from Sanford, Gonzalez, Termar. Carson Benj also gets a hit. Our offense was pretty good. The bottom of our order gave us nothing, which is not ideal. Errors from Koziel, so kind of backfiring there. It looks like JoJo blows the game. He gets stretched maybe a little bit long there. I'm not quite sure why he was playing so much. And then Brian Abreu blows the game. So this is like maybe not what we wanted to see ideally. But I'm going to simulate the rest of these games off camera. We're going to jump forward in time here. We have 3 more on the road in Atlanta. We then go on the road to Tampa. We rematch against Boston at home for our home opener. So that'll be a nice series to zoom in on. And then we also welcome St. Louis in. So I'm going to go all the way to the 11th here, and I will be back with a performance review then. All right, guys, we're going to pull in here through 2 weeks of the season, approximately 2.5 weeks maybe. We're 6-7, so not our hottest start. We ended up losing the series on the road in Atlanta. We only took 1 game, lost the final one in extras. Against Tampa, though, we take 2 of 3, and then the Red Sox beat us in a couple of close games here to take 2 of 3 of our home opener. We bounce back, winning 2 of 3 against St. Louis here, 1 of them in extras. So it's been kind of up and down. The guys are a little bit sleepy to start the year. I don't think everyone is playing to their full abilities. And we did suffer a couple of minor injuries. Most notably, Nick Gonzalez he got hit by a pitch and it left him with a bruised back, but we're letting him play through it as it's just a minimal impact injury. Maybe more substantial was Camden Koziel, who is experiencing knee inflammation, and it's a moderate impact on his running. Given it was a 2-week injury originally, I felt compelled to play it safe. I don't want any long-term knee damage with him, so we threw him on the 10-day. And the corresponding move was to start Johnny Severino full-time, as he is a plus defender and brings a little more lefty-righty balance to our lineup. And we also called up Aiden Miller to kind of fill into previously Johnny Severino's role as just like a corner backup. And he can kind of play against left-hand pitching as well. So not our hottest start. If you look at just like the surface level numbers here of our lineup, Wyatt Sanford is off to a tremendous start, already has 5 homers and 11 RBI. Termar is maybe taking a little bit longer to get going, only a 227 average. We've bumped up Alfonso and bumped down Benj. Benj was hovering around the Mendoza line as well. And O'Neal Cruz has just been awful. He's been horrendous. So it's not looking too good here. We've tried our best to, prevent his regression, but it may just happen. I don't know what we're going to end up doing here. Hopefully it's just a small sample size and a cold start. As far as the rotation goes, Dan Beebe has maybe given up more runs than I would typically expect, but Hunter Green has been amazing. He had a couple of really, really strong starts to open the year, positive game scores in every game he's appeared in. Jared Jones is kind of getting touched up for the homer. 2.6 per 9 is not great, so kind of what we feared with him is materializing here. Hopefully he can turn it around. Burrows and McElroy have been solid, and Abreu has been really good in the bullpen as well. Matt Brash also has been, really, really effective for us in a pretty limited sample. Jonathan Santucci is struggling a bit. We have him toggled to avoid high leverage. And Randy is also struggling through his first couple of appearances here. 3 games of action, and he's given up home runs like every time, so we may toggle off this like secondary closer role. I don't know if eventually maybe he gets bumped down to middle relief and we swap Brash into setup. I could see potentially something like that happening, kind of pending more sample size. But let's get back to it here. We should get Koziel back in a bit, but I think this next stretch of games will go here to the 22nd. We have Chicago on the road. We then start a pretty big homestand against Washington and the White Sox to end it. So I'll be back in a couple more days here. And fast forward, we're still kind of trying to find it, guys. We're 12-11, third in the division now. We had a strong showing against Chicago, 2 of 3, 3 of 4 against Washington, but then the White Sox are always, for some reason, the bane of our existence. Them and Colorado both give us trouble. They take 2 of 3 against us. We had a pretty not substantial, but a notable injury during this time, and it's to Termar Johnson, who is experiencing knee tendonitis. That is, at the time of the injury was a 1 to 2 week injury, so decided to throw him on the 10-day. It's a very long season. I don't want to risk guys playing through lower body knee injuries this early, and it was sort of a it's never a good thing, but it was well timed in the sense that he got hurt the same day that Camden Koziel got healthy. So pretty much just made a 1-for-1 swap there, which means Johnny Severino is going to continue to operate as our everyday first baseman, and Koziel is now going to take second base until Termar is ready to return. So kind of up and down for the team. I think, pitching-wise, most guys are looking good. Orion is struggling a little bit. Dan Beebe is giving up runs a little bit more frequently than maybe we would expect. But we'll kind of review performance once we wrap up the month here. We have a big road stretch here on the West Coast. We go to Seattle and then go to Colorado as well before getting a single game back home against Milwaukee here to end the month. So hopefully we can turn this thing around a bit. Cincinnati and Chicago both have the lead on us in the division. So let me keep chugging along here, and we'll kind of take a bigger picture view of things once we wrap up the month of April. And looking at the month as a whole here, not our strongest. We're 16-14 as we bring April to a close. That puts us at 15-11 on the month. So I guess not all that bad. I'm maybe being a little bit dramatic, and you can kind of see our team stats here. I'm still kind of digesting all of this info to look for our deficiencies. We're not scoring runs. We're 10th in runs scored, despite being, top third in the majority of the actual hitting categories. So not quite sure what's up with that. I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there. But we are stealing a decent amount. We're kind of middle of the pack. Our base running isn't great. We're striking out quite a lot. So there are definitely areas to improve. As far as pitching goes, we're sort of middle of the pack in most everything. ERA 7th. Although opponent's average is at just 224, that's pretty good. And our defense looks to be improved so far this season. So obviously still early and a lot of time for this to change. If we go to the standings now, 1 month under our belt, we are 5 back of the red-hot Cincinnati Reds, who have the best offense and in the NL, and they have a really good defense as well. It looks like they're 4th in defensive efficiency. So, we're still hanging there. They're not too far ahead of us. I think, we're still, right in the mix for making the playoffs. I'm not really worried at all yet, but no major top-tier performers. I think we're just a little slow out of the gate, and if you go down here to our run differential, we're actually 6 under, and we've gotten actually a little bit lucky. We're over our expected record as well, so kind of just a slow start. We have been battling minor injuries, and the good news is Terramar Johnson has returned, so we're going to slot him back into the lineup here. We kicked back Aiden Miller down to AAA again, and this is how we're going to kind of roll. I've reworked the order of things a little bit to, just better optimize right-left split. So we go right, left, right, left, right, left. And you can kind of see who has been hitting so far for us. This is on the season. Nick Gonzalez and Connor Griffin are both crushing it. I mainly wanted to get Connor Griffin into the cleanup spot because he's having such a good year for us. I don't love batting Lantigua so low at 7, but I think it's just kind of what we have to do. Our top 3 hitters are all righties. And, Sanford and Johnson and Cozile and Alfonso are all above average, but we're looking for Carson Bench to come around. He always starts very, very slowly and then turns it on late, so hopefully he can turn it on sooner this season. And then O'Neal Cruz has just been abysmal. I'm not sure what we're going to do with him. Obviously, very tied to him financially. We see his strikeouts being a huge issue now, and even against right-handed pitching, he's not great. He's just not making contact at all. I've tried to go into his development, and I've fully dialed back his defense to try to optimize his contact to prevent that regression, but it's still not really enough to translate to on-the-field production. So we're going to have to start hitting, basically. We're going to have to start scoring runs, I think, is the major issue. And then pitching-wise, you can see all the guys here who are doing pretty well. We've sort of reshuffled the roles in our bullpen based on, performance. So Randy's back into setup role. I'm kind of just leaving it open to the CPU as to who they want to choose for this. And then Kirkering has been really not too hot, negative WAR player. He's gotten a lot of leverage exposure. He's 7 shutdown, 5 meltdown. He's getting out there a ton, 16 innings, and it hasn't really gone all that well. He's walking guys, giving up homers, so we're bumping him back down to middle relief to hopefully combat any regression. And Santucci has not been good. He's long relief, avoid high leverage. Tyler August was doing well, and then he had a blow up here, 2 innings, 7 allowed on the road in Colorado. Gave up 3 homers in that stretch, so that really kind of tanked his numbers. We're still going to run him at middle relief, but we're going to toggle him to avoid high leverage until he can kind of get back on track. But, other guys have been pretty good, like Matt Brash has been pretty good. Tyler Holton has been pretty awesome so far. And Randy has kind of turned it around after a shaky first couple of appearances. So on the whole, I think we're fine. We just have to, keep going along here, and eventually we will kind of play to our expected level. But we're going to go through the rest of May here together and keep things moving. So we've got the final 2 games in this set at home against Milwaukee before we welcome the Padres. Then we will go on the road to St. Louis. So I will just jump forward a week and rejoin you on the 9th. I think we might be running into some issues, guys. We're now 19-19. As you can see, the most recent stretch of games was not exactly kind to us. We lost the series At home against Milwaukee, we took the final game 14-0, but dropped the first two. San Diego, we take 2 of 3, but then we come back and get swept by St. Louis. We only put up 1 run all series. They put up 6 every game, and we're 8 games back on the division now. Like, this is starting to get a little too real for me. Obviously, Cincinnati is a really, really great team. They rank highly across almost every category, and we kind of do not. We kind of stink right now. I don't know what's going on. We have certain guys starting to heat up, like Hunter Green is creeping up there in strikeouts, and Omar Alfonso is hitting a bunch of homers. But we're on the outside looking in of a playoff spot. I know it's super early, so none of this really matters. But you go to the expanded standings. Our run differential is -14. Our Pythagorean expectation is actually that we would be under 500 by 2 games, but we're right even 500. So we're performing a little better than expected. I was trying to see what might be going on in terms of where the deficiencies are, but we're just not hitting, and we're allowing runs. As simple as that sounds, we are 13th in runs allowed and 9th in runs scored. That is not a recipe for success. I don't really have great answers for what to do. I think we just have to kind of weather the storm, which is kind of what I've been saying for a while now. And we just are really, really slow to come around. So we're going to keep moving along here. I don't think there's any major changes to be made from a roster perspective. I think we just kind of have to continue dealing with it, and hopefully we can pick it up here before it's too late. But we have a couple series now. We have New York at home. It looks like we will face Paul Skeens here on Sunday Night Baseball. And then we will go on a road trip to Miami and to Philly. So we're going to handle these next 3. I'll be back on the 20th with news and updates. Jumping in here a little bit early, we've barely simulated much at all, but you can see Mike Burrows has gone down with a strained shoulder. This is really not good. He was one of our stronger pitchers this season, and it's going to be a full 4-week injury, and anything shoulder related to pitchers is very, very bad. It's arguably worse than elbow injuries. So, it's possible he could experience setbacks, or, this could, put him on the same path as Nate Snead. But I don't want to be overly dramatic for now. It's just going to be a 4-week injury. We're going to have to figure out what we're going to do, though. It's actually saying he could play through it, but obviously we're not going to chance that. I think we're just going to we're going to shut him down for a bit. But you can see he was 4-0, 55 innings, 3 ERA, sub-1 whip. All the underlying stuff really, really positive. Batters hitting sub-200. It stinks to lose him, but we're going to have to figure something out because I'm not going to play him through it, obviously. And I don't know that I have a good plan on what we're gonna have to do here. Obviously, we could throw Tyler August out there, who has a 12 ERA through 11 innings at the majors this season. I don't know that I love that idea. It just feels like it might be a little too aggressive for him. But you never know. Another option would be to go down to AAA. And we can kind of see who we have available here. I think we would likely look at somebody like Zane Petty, perhaps, to come up, who seems to just be kind of having an average season down here, nothing too remarkable. We have other guys here who are not on the 40-man. Zane Petty isn't either, so we would have to purchase a deal regardless. But we have Cameron Weston, who we just kind of brought on as a free agent this year for depth. He looks like he's been pretty effective down here, and I don't mind his ratings. The almost 30-year-old finesse pitcher could be a suitable option for us. There is this guy, Clevari Tejada, who is just 25, has a little bit further to go with his pitches. I don't know that any of those will really play at the majors just yet. He could be a little vulnerable, and let's take a look at Zane Petty and see what he's looking like. Obviously, he brings great stamina and he's been at AAA for 3 seasons now. And similarly, though, like his pitches aren't the best. I'm kind of torn on what to do. I'm going to have to, I think, go off camera to contemplate and make a decision here. I may also look at free agents as well. I don't think anyone, we could bump out Tyler August, like I sort of mentioned, and call up a reliever, but I'm not sure who that would even be. Maybe Ben Abelt could come up and get some run. But a little bit of adversity here, so I'm going to go off and think about it. I will come back to you once we figure out what we're doing. And apart from the injury, it has been really good news. We've only lost 1 game since we started simulating, taking the series against New York, sweeping Miami, sweeping Philly on the road, a full road sweep here, which is awesome. So that brings us to 11-6 on the month, 8-2 in our last 10. As far as standings go, we have closed the gap on Cincinnati to just 3 games. And Nick Gonzalez is hitting for a really high average. Dan Beebe had a gem of a game, and we're in pole position for the wild card, but obviously still super early. Dan Beebe had such a good game, it made news. First, Carson Benj got suspended for 5 games. He always gets in fights. I think this is the second time this has happened. He got into it with Michael King. So we'll be without him for the next week, unfortunately. But this headline, BB mows down 15 Phillies, is crazy. That's crazy they would say that. It was an awesome game. It was almost flawless. It was a 92 game score. He went a full 8 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 15 K, 109 pitches. So really, really awesome. Dan Beebe is back, and he's looking sharp. So I think the team has maybe turned a corner a bit. We made some lineup adjustments as well based on, just May performance. I filtered the lineup for WRC Plus in the month of May, and Koziel was red hot, so I had to put him lead off. I didn't see any other way of going about it. So now we go him lead off, and then Sanford is bumped down to cleanup, which is weird. I'm not used to that being the case, but just felt like that made the most sense for what we were doing here. Alfonso is hot, Gonzalez is hot, and O'Neal Cruz is our second best hitter on the month. But I'm still not going to move him out of the 9 spot. I don't trust it just yet. Pitching-wise, we did end up calling up Zane Petty. We purchased his contract. He has not made a start for us yet, as he is kind of immediately bumped down to that 5th spot. And he's coming up soon, so we'll look to monitor how he's doing. Randy Rodriguez has been really hot lately. He's kind of turned it on for us. Finn McElroy as well has an ERA at 2.3, so really encouraged by that. I think we're ranked 3rd in the most recent power rankings, so we're kind of getting our respect back. We're starting to hit our stride, hopefully. Well, fingers crossed. I don't want to speak too soon. But we've just got a couple more games left in the month here of May. You can see our fan interest is slipping, and so is our attendance. Based on kind of our weak play to open the year, things kind of dipped. I'm hoping we can recover and get things back on track as we keep things moving here. We have a big homestand here, and these games are going to be crucial because we, of course, play Chicago for 3 games. They are 3rd in the division. They're a couple games behind us. They're definitely pretty decent. So we're gonna go. We're gonna face them at home, and then we go. We have a 4-game set at home against Cincinnati. Sorry, I'm having trouble speaking, but Chicago, Cincinnati, and then we go back on the road to wrap up the month in LA, and then go to San Diego. So I'm gonna finish out the rest of this month off camera, and then we can kind of review the early season before ending the video and looking ahead toward next episode. Jumping on here just one day after that last session, but something pretty notable has happened. We've suffered another injury, this time to Jared Jones, who has a dead arm that's going to put him out 2 whole weeks. So he threw 19 pitches, then kind of felt something was off, had to come out of the game, and he's not going to be able to pitch. So we're going to have to figure out another move with our pitching staff, and I've already made it, but now we're down our like 3 and 4 starter, so it's not looking good. We got Zane Petty up next. He's going to get a start. We're going to slide Tyler August into a starter role, and then we've called up Ben Abelt, the lefty reliever who we acquired in the most recent offseason. Just felt like his AAA stats were pretty strong. 17 games, sub-2 ERA, 1.06 WHIP, pretty positive WAR, and looked pretty good. So I felt like he was already on the 40-man. May as well just call him up and sort of give him a full-time specialist trial for the next little bit. But I'll keep moving through the games. We've only played one. We lost 6-4 to the Cubs. So I'll be back once we're done with the month. I don't even know what to say, you guys. Look at what is on the screen. This is horrendous news. Terrible news. Wyatt Sanford will be out 5 to 6 months. I mean, this is like his season. This is like he's pretty much done for the year. Our 75 grade shortstop, who we just trained up to be healthier this year, is now done for likely the season, unless he gets some miraculous role and is able to come back sooner, in which case he would maybe be available for the back half of the playoffs. I don't even know what to do about this. Wyatt Sanford goes down. We've been playing tremendous baseball on the field, so this is really a terrible twist of fate for us. He had 2.2 WAR. He was pacing for 6.5 WAR on the year. Obviously, tremendous defender. Fractured knee is just so random and just so brutal. Not good. Not good at all. The news is terrible. Although we are first in the freaking power rankings, we've jumped over Cincinnati. I'll just show you what's been happening on the field. It's been really good. We've only lost 2 games. We lost this most recent one, and then the first game against Chicago that Jared Jones got hurt in. Otherwise, it's been smooth sailing, and we are now just 1 game back in the division. So we're right there with Cincinnati, competing for first in the Central. So I don't really know what we're going to do here. Obviously, Sanford was a key member of our freaking team. He was our best player by just rating. But I think, we can go down to AAA and bring somebody up who can play shortstop. I'm looking, both candidates are honestly performing really well. It would be one of Elian Pena or Alex Harrington, and they're both doing really, really good. So Pena is OPSing over 1,000. He also hits left, which I think would be good. It would just be a very similar profile to Sanford. He's only a 60 grade shortstop with 65 range, so maybe not quite as strong, but you think he's further along with the bat, probably than compared to Harrington. But Harrington's also he's got 797 OPS. He's hitting. Oh wait, no, we're split for May. So if we go on the year. Pena is still OPSing over 1,000. Harrington is hitting close to 350, OPSing 959. So he definitely brings the range and the glove, but I don't know that the bat is quite as comparable to Pena. So he's more effective against left-handed pitching, less effective against right-handed pitching, but obviously he's a great defender. I don't really know what we're going to do if we compare them. I wonder how they shape up. So Pena is the far superior bat. Very, very, plus currently. He's plus 20 compared to just a little bit of gap power that tilts in favor of Harrington. Harrington is better against left-handed pitching, obviously, but Pena is much, much better against right-handed pitching. I think it's probably going to be Pena who we call up. But man, what a brutal injury. I'm going to go off here and figure out what to do. This is one of the bigger injuries we've faced in the sim so far throughout all our years of playing, it's definitely going to have a huge impact on our season. So I hope that we can recover. The hits keep coming here. We're now just like 2 to 3 days later, and Termarr Johnson has fractured a finger that will put him out for a month. So, we called up Elian Pena as our corresponding move for Wyatt Sanford, and now we're going to have to figure out a new situation kind of in the middle of our order. So, obviously not ideal here. Another extended absence for our Pirates. The injuries have just been relentless this season. And I'm sort of running out of options on who we're going to freaking call up here. So, I think there are a couple of options. I think maybe we even look to get a little creative with what we're doing here. But Elian Pena, in his first couple of games, he's been really awesome. I mean, only 14 plate appearances, but he's actually hitting this time and seems to be, producing. So, hopefully he can stay healthy and just lock it down for the rest of the season. I think it'll be a really good experience for him. I think we may look to slide Coziel over to second base and kind of figure something out there, but I need to regroup and think about it a little more. And wow, we finally made it, you guys. A crazy month has come to an end. Definitely the most adversity I think we have ever faced in the entirety of the series. May 2030 will be a month that will live in infamy for us. But overall, we played good baseball. We're 35-23. Our record on the month was 19-9. So we sort of turned it around. We're scoring more runs. We're being more effective. Our pitching is finding its groove. Our defense is doing awesome. So we don't really have all that much to complain about apart from the injuries. I think we're now tied for the lead in the division with Cincinnati, 8-2 over our last 10. Nick Gonzalez still doing well. Dan Beebe accumulating a ton of strikeouts as well. But you may be wondering what we did as the corresponding move to losing Termarr, and it was actually to call up Alex Harrington. So now we're transitioning Pena over to second, where he's a more natural fit 70-grade defender there. And we're just going to give Harrington full run at shortstop. I did not, anticipate him playing for us this season, but, baseball is always a very random and surprising game. I think it just makes the most sense for our infield defense to be really, really elite. I don't care if he doesn't really hit all that much. I mean, of course, if he's playing awful, we'll reconsider and maybe send him back down. But I think I'm willing to give this a trial run at first and just run a really, really plus defense up the middle. We now have Harrington at short. He's a 70 grade. We have Pena at second, who is a 70 grade. And we also have Griffin in center, who has 70 range. So really, really strong up the middle. Hopefully that helps out our pitching. Not to mention Alfonso is a pretty decent defender himself behind the dish. So I think we're going to run with this. You can see Pena has gotten a little more time under his belt, 353 on the average so far. So encouraging signs there from him. Harrington has really only played one game, so he's sort of to be determined on how he's doing. Zane Petty has been effective in his 2 starts up, positive game scores in both. We're still awaiting the return of our other really good pitchers, but I'm happy with what we've gotten out of him. I think there's a chance that he ends up sticking with the major league team, and maybe we send someone down like Jonathan Santucci. Tyler August has also had 2 really good starts in the time since we've moved him out of the bullpen. 67 game score and 55 game score. So 2 nice bounce back performances for him as well in the starting rotation. And the team's been playing much better as a whole. So you can see, we'll be brief here, but the players who are hitting the most, we called up Aiden Miller again and swapped out Severino down to AAA. Johnny was not really hitting as good as I would have hoped, so felt like we can just swap them at will and try to find a hot hand. So very limited sample size with him, but he's been one of our better hitters. Coziel has been tremendous, hitting 315. Nick Gonzalez as well, hitting 312. They've really kind of carried. And then Griffin and Alfonso have both been solid as well. Lantigua is still kind of trying to find it along with Carson Benj and some of these other guys here. But hopefully we can turn it around soon as far as pitching goes. The most WAR is obviously going to be Dan Beebe, 1.9 WAR. But Brian Abreu has been really, really awesome. 12 shutdowns to only 4 meltdowns. 0.9 WAR for him. And Tyler Holton similarly has 11 shutdowns to only 1 meltdown. So really love what he's been able to do. Randy Jojo also very strong. Finn McElroy has had a pretty strong year, although he's cold as of late. And I think we'll look to cycle Santucci out once we get those other pitchers back, Burrows and Jones, and then kind of we'll readjust things from there. But I think we've turned a corner here. We've kind of recovered our season a bit despite the injuries, but I think we're going to leave it here. And I know this episode has probably been pretty long, so I appreciate you guys sticking with me, but I think we covered a lot of good ground and kind of set the table for the season. There was a lot of interesting storylines that came out in the first half of this year. So in next episode, we'll look to handle all of June and go up until the first year player draft in July, and then we will probably leave it there for a brief window of feedback in the comments. But I think we're looking good so far for 2030. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you find yourself coming back here often, I would appreciate if you could like the video. It really does help grow the reach of the channel and encourages me to make more of these episodes. So I'll be back with that episode where we tackle the draft in a day. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.